Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about some of the best Metroidvanias I have played, but there are 4 things to keep in mind. The only one worth mentioning is that I don't consider any platformer with exploration as a Metroidvania. With that said, you can find the other details in the description. So with no particular order, let's begin. To open the curtain for this video, I wanna share a Skeletron, the Chronicles of Ericona, where we take the shoes of Derek, a lord that avoided death in exchange for a different fate. In general, it is a likable story that takes some time to understand. Whatever the case, this is a game that was inspired by Castlevania and Dark Souls, probably a bit of blasphemous, but you can be the judge. So you will see some references here and there, as well as that quite challenging difficulty. In case that is not your cup of tea, don't worry, it is possible to change it, but there are some other mechanics that can be punishing as your usual Dark Souls, so you cannot spam attacks left and right, as you need the stamina. And every attack is executed with precision. Perhaps the thing with this game is that if you play it in the intended difficulty, most likely in your first round, you will feel that everything around you is unfair in many ways. But it is all about understanding some mechanics to effectively advance through the game. What's cool about this entry is that there are many weapons and equipment that you can use along the whole journey, and several hidden areas. Things worth mentioning is that there are some places with some bugs and some slight issues in its audio. But aside from those details, I will say that it's worth dying those 200 times to finish this game for the first time. Where it is also important to mention that depending from some choices, you can fight more or less bosses through the journey. For the next entry, Touhou Luna Nights. This is one of those games you don't hear many people talk about, but it is quite entertaining and also live. Developed by Ladybug, same as Record of Lodoss War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth. I believe that it is easy to see because of the pixel art and some menus. Perhaps my only issue with this game is that it is also really short. However, here what's cool is that you take the role of Sakuya, the clumsy maid that opens the windows of spaceships while flying out there. In this game, her main skill, time manipulation, comes as the main dish, because there is a good chunk of platforming and moments that require you to effectively use that skill. In general, what can be a good challenge are boss fights, where it may feel as you can defeat them without that much of an issue. However, as any other good Touhou game, they relentlessly attack, so it is actually quite easy to mess up, and that is where this game shines, because despite having what seems like a broken skill, the game will push you a little to understand its uses left and right. Another thing to point out is that its OST is amazing. I mean, they use some of the most known Touhou tracks rearranged for the game, and if you know about entries within this project, there are also interesting references. So yeah, despite being a short game, I do recommend it. In this channel I have talked about Ender Lily sometimes. Yeah, in its proper time I play Ender Magnolia, but for the time being, this entry delivered a quite amazing story where we follow this little girl, who woke up in a ruined kingdom. Through the story we will collect different notes to get what happened in this place, and lots of environmental storytelling, which is superb. Its gameplay takes inspiration from Dark Souls, and with that I will say that some bosses are quite challenging, but nothing impossible. Whatever the case, as you advance you will find other power-ups to continue the adventure. Worth mentioning that this game has different endings, but it is not insanely long, so it has a nice replay value, as there are different ways to play around it, of course with the help of different skills, which are given to you as you beat bosses and sub-bosses in different areas. Another cool thing about this game comes in all its amazing art and music. You will see lots of outlandish areas and listen to amazing tracks. Well, kinda gloomy ones, but you get the idea. Let's continue with The Devil Within Sadgad. This game has a quite interesting story, where the Black Stone Tower has brought ruin and prosperity to the world. Here you take the role of Kim Rip to uncover the secrets of this tower. Similar as other entries in this video, you will understand more about this story by checking the environment, reading several notes, and talking with NPCs. In general, it is quite dark and entertaining. As for its gameplay, it can be punishing if you're not used to hard platformers. So if you're looking for an easy game, this one it's not going to be for you. Platforming can be quite tricky, but addictive once you get the core mechanics, and there are some areas that can be a bit annoying, due to the kind of enemies you find as well as the distance between safe areas. At all lights, this is a game that took inspiration from Bloodborne, as you have a katana as main weapon and a shotgun for ranged attacks. Of course, as you advance, you will be able to upgrade your gear and unlock different skills depending from your playstyle. The biggest highlight in this game comes with boss fights. Oftentimes they are something like understanding checks, because in this game you can't brute force your way. In other words, if you get the basic mechanics given to you, bosses are manageable. Otherwise, I'm sure the struggle will be real. A Metroidvania that surprised me a lot was Afterimage. Here we are going to follow Rini and Ifri, after the war between humans and Goliaths, where humans lost the gifts given by God, and almost right away we find that Rin has special powers to save this world. I've said it before and I'll say it again. For a Metroidvania, this game has a quite complex story that was a bit complicated to put together, but in my opinion it was worth the time, as there are several twists left and right. However, it can be confusing due to how certain things are explained. Another thing to mention is that I only recommend this game for those who like to have complete freedom, because after getting some basic skills like double jump and slide, the main limit for a good chunk of time is going to be your skill as a player, because you can reach lots of places by using some of the most classic approaches. In other words, if you expect the game to hold your hand, nah, look into another direction. But that was what hooked me quite fast, as I was getting into places with enemies like 20-30 levels above, and I love those challenging moments. However, it is not needed to do that, but you will have to explore really well each place, as there are many secrets around. Now in Afterimage you have the chance to equip 2 weapons, and each class of weapon has a complete different feeling, so it invites to experiment. Plus, several enemies drop different weapons. Perhaps what I didn't use that much were magic attacks, but there is also the option. As for the general difficulty, I will say that there are interesting challenges, but as I explained, everything is going to depend on how you tackle the game. In the next entry, let's talk about Frontier Hunter, Ersa's Wheel of Fortune. There is a previous game named Tower Hunter, Ersa's Trial, but there is no need to play it to understand this one. After Ersa got her license as Hunter, and with the creation of some flying vehicles, she is able to travel to previously inaccessible regions. The story is there, but I don't think that's the main dish with this entry. Its gameplay is where this game shines the most, because every character has the chance to use 2 different weapons, with of course particular distinctions, and other party members will join your cause, later having the chance to switch between them really fast, and each character having their own HP bar. So depending from the situation, you can decide if you wanna run with one character or another. Of course, just looking at its gameplay, it is easy to see from where this game took inspiration. Other mechanic worth mentioning is that you can add cores to the weapons, giving a nice level of customization, plus a quite big map that takes its time to get all the goodies around. Another cool feature is about the weapon skills and how you need to use certain tactics to break bosses. So it is not all about brute forcing your way, but you can always use long-range weapons and cheese through some enemies. However, if you like to do things a la vieja escuela, you can do it. And last but not least, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. If you ask me how many times I finished this game, I cannot say, because I pretty much filled all the save files and erased them several times. Whatever the case, there is a story. Not that great, but there is a story, where we follow Miriam. I don't think this game requires that much introduction, as it was expected by lots of people, as Konami forgot how to make interesting Castlevania games. In Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, you'll have the chance to customize Miriam depending on how you want to finish this game. In my humble opinion, every kind of weapon has its advantages and disadvantages. Everything is going to depend from your particular playstyle, because you can go for pure magic, weapons, or throw mixes in between. It also offers different difficulties. Perhaps the most challenging of all of them comes with a randomized, max level 1, and leave everything up to the deities. So depending how the dice was rolled, you may find but pure basic items and skills as you advance. And don't worry about getting locked. After some patches, I never saw impossible seeds, but I do recommend to have full knowledge of the game prior to getting to this mess. Nevertheless, its normal playthrough was extraordinary, amazing spiritual successor from Symphony. Yeah, it would be great to have another Bloodstained in the near future. With this, I hope you found this video informative, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.